last 8 count and not being dependent on counting it. So that when a song does something weird, like has 5 8 counts, or does 432 and then has a 16 count and then goes back, that's not super jarring to you because you weren't relying on the 4th 8 count. You were paying attention to the sounds to hear the last 8 count, whatever the last 8 count may be. The drill that I took you through was to listen to a song and actually count it and be like, oh, okay, I hear what's happening in that place. There's a drum roll. Like, oh, and this one, like their voice kind of built up. This one had some kind of weird siren clubby sound. This one drops down, and like get those actual sounds. Then listen to it again and see without counting the whole thing. You can just count the last 8 and pick up on it by like 3 or 5. And then the last test for that is click the song in random places. Like click at 1 minute and 41 seconds and see if without the context of everything that came before, can you hear when the end of that phrase that you just clicked into the middle of is about to happen just from the build up or the drop down alone rather than having to keep context from before. And as we were doing that, we paired it with a drill that kind of ties into how I actually want you to do this with a partner, which was at the very end of the 8 count to give yourself a spin, or multiple ones if you want. Come out of that in the nick of time for the 1, and on the 1, show me, is the song funky? Realize it could be like chill funky or very enthusiastic funky. Is it like smooth and we need to be pretty on that part? Or is this like a big hit where we like pop something or strike a pose and then keep going? Those are the 3 most common choices that you will get when you come into the new phrase. So then, with a partner, we paired that with the idea that I like to finish off the phrase with something, with a move that has more of like a go, 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 kind of fancier, more dynamic feeling. The example of this that I mentioned I use most of the time is turns. That's not the only thing that I do, but I do use that a lot. And then the idea is we don't do the turns on the new phrase. Those turns happen at the end of the previous phrase, and we come out of them just in the nick of time on the 1 to do something that is more about like our movement and dancing like we were just doing here, as opposed to like this is a pattern. Can I borrow you? Can I video? Pretty please. All right, so we had kind of a couple examples. We did, from an outside turn, the option of coming around and connecting here and walking our follower, right? Or we have the option of coming around from an outside turn, changing the hands, and popping this up to set them up for that. And so we talked about in both of these, the leader is more in charge of setting it up, and the follower is more in charge of expressing it when we get there. Not exclusively, but that's where the responsibility lies mostly on each side. Then we play with being able to do those for varying amounts of time. So this one could be 5, 6, 7, 8, 1 is where this starts. Right? Or if you're up for it, I mentioned doing this with double outside turn instead. It's a little fancier. Right? Or if you started really early, over here for me, you could do that from a whip. Sorry, I would have started that on 3. So this would be 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1. Right? Or if I started that on 1, I'd add extra turns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, and then we get there. And then we did this one from Sugar Tuck as well as from the whip, and we went through the same set of possibilities of like add some extra turns, do it from the whip to start earlier, do it from the Sugar Tuck to start later. So ultimately you have a possibility for if you start on 1, 3, or 5. If you don't pick up on it until 7, we're going to shadow position. 7, 8, 1, or 7, 8, 1, or you can pop the hand up, 7, 8, 1, and that's a pretty good reliable, like, oh crap, I didn't plan this well setup that you can hit at the last second. All right, I think that was everything. Somebody got it? Did I forget anything? All right, awesome. Thanks so much.